Hey everybody, this is Hans Murphy from Modesto, California, and we're back with another episode of WrestleMurphia. And today I'm going to review the entire WWE roster, so stick around for that. But before we do that, there's some business to attend to, because we have the sponsorship announcement. Hello, this is Slugger, and I just heard that the Dodgers won the World Series. Wee-hoo! And if you want to celebrate, a good way to do this would be with buying some Laserdiscs. That's right. Our sponsors are Home for the LD Lee. They sell Laserdiscs, HD DVDs, and CDs. So I suppose you could probably, the music would probably be a better thing. You can buy some good music to have a little dance to celebrate the Dodgers winning the World Series. So yes, this is really good. And if you put in the code Murph, it's also really good because you get 20% off of your orders. So yes, Home for the LD Lee, the kings of Laserdiscs, and the Dodgers are the kings of the baseball. But they don't have me. I am Slugger Murphy with the strongest arms in baseball. Whee! Okay, well, thanks for that, Slugger. And now on to the main part of the show. I'm still going to be in the screen. We couldn't do this live where we had the roster on the screen and me on the screen at the same time. So this is being recorded separately. So if my mouth isn't moving in time, that's why. So I'm just going to be, to quote REM, that'll be me in the corner. So yeah, I'll be up in the corner while we do this review. Hey everybody, Hans Murphy here. You just saw me on screen a minute ago, so I don't know why I'm bothering to introduce myself again. But here we go. This is my this is my little game I like to play sometimes with the WWE roster. It's called Push, Repackage, Fire. So basically what it says on the box. I'm going to go through their entire roster and decide who needs to be pushed, who needs to be fired, and who needs to be repackaged, or given something new. And I might try and come up with something. So yeah, here we go. Okay, well, Adam Pearce, he is a wrestler, but I believe he's retired now, so not much we can do about that. If he does want to come back to the ring, that's great, and we can maybe do something there. But at the moment, he's just the general manager of Raw, so yeah, not much we can say about that one. Adriana Rizzo, I don't really remember her. I think she's on NXT. I'm not entirely sure. She's obviously not done anything to really stand out. So we're going to put her in the fourth category of just meh. Give her some time. Maybe she'll do something that stands out. But until then, nothing worth hiring, firing, or doing anything with. So, yeah. AJ Lee, she just came back. There's not really much we can do there. AJ Styles, obviously a great wrestler. Just don't ask him about the gay community or about what shape the earth is. But yeah, he's certainly a talented wrestler, and I'd say he definitely deserves a push at some point. Maybe not so much for the heavyweight titles, but maybe, your U.S. Intercontinental titles. I'd probably put him in that sort of category for now, and yeah, see what happens from there. Akira Tozawa, okay, he's gone. I'm not going into it. Basically, you can look this up in your own time. They call it Monkey Gate, but you got to be careful because there's something else in cricket, I think, called Monkey Gate. Basically, him and a bunch of his buddies in Japan tortured a monkey. So as far as we're concerned, he should be in jail. So yeah, he shouldn't have this job. Alba Fire, well, she's certainly great. I mean, they've now had her do, I think, 3 different gimmicks within WWE, all using the same name. But yeah, she certainly hit the ball out of the park with everything they've given her. I think she definitely deserves a push. I think that once the thing with Chelsea runs its course, the best thing to do would maybe have her go back to the witch thing. I thought that was really cool. But she's doing great work as it is. And yeah, if they could keep that going as part of the Secret Service, yeah. Aleister Black. So basically at the moment they've kind of turned him into the Temu version of Karrion Kross. They had the real Karrion Kross and they let him go. Now they've got this guy who's he's got some amazing tattoos, I'll give him that. Yeah, I'd probably let him go, to be honest. I can't really see much potential there. To be honest, I'd get rid of him and bring back Karrion Kross because he does it better because it's his gimmick. Whereas, No, Aleister Black, he's trying to do a kind of, I think it's supposed to be Aleister Crowley as part of it, and it just doesn't really, it's kind of confusing too, because there's Aleister Crowley kind of connection there, but then also he's doing judo moves, and yet when they show him doing backstage interviews, he's got little glasses on and he kind of looks like an accountant. So, and he's wearing a suit, so you can't see the tattoos. So I don't know. I think that, yeah, I would probably just let him go, to be honest, unless he's really willing to go into the occult kind of thing, and maybe they could build something there. But they've got to really make it match what he's doing on screen with his gimmick. Otherwise, it's just, yeah, none of it fits together. I would get rid of him. Alex Shelley, one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, a great tag team. They've been around for a long time. I would certainly push them. I would probably have them as maybe the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. I'd love to see them on television a lot more. They can certainly put in some great matches. I don't really... Now, I look back a few months ago when they had on SmackDown that TLC match with the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Street Profits versus DIY, and a TLC match, and it was great. And was it a TLC match or was it? It was a three-way match, and it was just really, really cool. So it was around WrestleMania time, and yeah, it was great. And so it sort of looked like SmackDown had this great tag team division, and then the Wyatt Six came back, and it just kind of gone downhill since then. So yeah, I'd certainly push the Motor City Machine Guns. Both great on their own, but I think that they're stronger together. Alexa Bliss, they're kind of doing all that they can with her. I don't know, I'm not particularly sold on her personally, but she's over with the crowd, so I'd say probably keep her doing what she's doing. Alicia Taylor is not a wrestler. She is the shouty woman that does the ring announcing. I'm sure she's a lovely woman. She's a great drummer. She's been in several bands. Most notably, she worked with Kelly Osbourne. I think she should go back to playing the drums, honestly. I think that her shouty delivery, I just find it irritating. So personally, I would get rid of her from that role. Maybe there's something else in WWE that they can do. Seeing as though she is a musician, maybe move her into working on music. That would certainly make more sense than having her do something that she's not good at. But yeah, I would personally get rid of her as being ring announcer and move her into doing music production, because they need new people to do music anyway. The people they've got at the moment have been caught out using AI. So yeah, Andre Chase, he's a guy in NXT. He's got a goofy gimmick because his third name is Chase, so he's got Chase University purely for the pun of Chase U. Inoffensive, I guess. Really, he's fine as far as his wrestling goes, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bit too goofy. Maybe Repackage. I don't really know what I'd do with that. At least it's something that does stand out at the moment. He does seem to want to do that more comedic thing, so maybe there's something there they could do. I just think that it's a little too forced what they're trying to do with this Chase U thing. So yeah, I would say he could potentially be repackaged. Otherwise, you could probably let him go, and I don't think there'd be too much of a drama there. Angel, he is teamed with Berto, so I often call him Ernio. He's fine, he's doing a good job. Another great tag team. I believe they're mostly using them over at AAA at the moment. And yeah, just another really good tag team, good at what they do. Yeah, not really much I can say. Same goes for Angelo Dawkins. They're doing fine with the Street Profits. No need to really change anything there. Apollo Crews. I actually didn't realize this guy was still employed. He's not been on any of the major shows. He may have been on Main Event or something like that. One of their internet exclusive, whatever. Well, it's all internet now, isn't it? But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the guy on TV in ages, so I don't know. He's a perfectly decent wrestler, I suppose. Yeah, I don't really have that much to say about him because he's not been on TV for a really long time. Like, I don't think he's been on television at all this year. Ariana Grace, she is Santino Morales' daughter, I think, so we probably shouldn't hold that against her, but I don't know. From what I've seen, I've not been particularly impressed. Yeah, I'd probably let her go personally. Asuka, they're doing fine with her. I love the dynamic she's got going with Kyrie at the moment. I think that's working really well. So yeah, not much to change here. This is probably pretty boring for everyone thus far because I've not really done anything all that interesting yet. Austin Theory, he was a guy that the WWE were really keen on for a while there, and then they kind of dropped the ball on him. He was in a tag team, and now the other guy in the tag team is teaming up with the New Day for no apparent reason. And he's just kind of disappeared. There was talk of him perhaps being in Seth Rollins' Vision stable, and that never really happened. So I don't know what they're doing with him. He does seem to have a lot of potential. Maybe a gimmick change would help. I think the whole A-Town thing, especially because he was teaming with Grayson Waller, who's Australian, so they were A-Town down under, but he was A-Town because he's from Alabama or Atlanta. I can't remember, to be perfectly honest. And yes, he was from somewhere in America that begins with A. And was nowhere near Modesto, California, so I got no idea. So yeah, I think maybe ditch the whole A-Town thing and give him a new gimmick. They'd probably have to come up with some kind of reason why he's been gone all this time. Although they tend not to do that. Usually when someone comes back, it's just like, oh, hey, it's them. It's like they were never gone. I think with him, maybe they could have... maybe he was arrested, so they can, that can be the storyline. So he's been in jail, or... I don't know, maybe if they want to try the ministry thing again, and he could have been kidnapped by some cult leader. But that's probably a bit too out there for... I don't think that would work in the modern era. So yeah, I'm really not sure what to do with him myself. I think that they probably need to talk to him personally so they can get an idea of his actual personality. That's something that they seem to forget a lot. They'll give people these gimmicks without really sort of taking into account what that person is actually like. And so, yeah, maybe just, find out what the guy's actually like. I could probably do some research, but I'm not going to because this is a fucking long list and I'm still on the A's. So, yeah, Ava, she's the general manager of NXT. She would be gone if it was up to me, but she is The Rock's daughter, so they're probably going to have to find something for her at some point. I agree with Cornette. They should probably call her Pebble because she's The Rock's daughter. Or Pebbles, maybe, like Fred Flintstone's kid. I think that would probably be better, but she's just not suited to the role she's in. I'm not sure what there is that she could do. I don't think she can wrestle. I've never seen her wrestle. And as far as her talking ability, it's not great. I think someone did get in trouble for saying that I guess charisma can skip a generation, but it is kind of true. She's just kind of blank. Maybe there's a job they could do maybe there's a job she could do in the office or something, but I just don't see her as an on-screen character. Axiom, one half of Fraxium with Nathan Fraser. Two really good wrestlers, and they have great chemistry together. They're another tag team that was really getting pushed for a little while there, and then suddenly, where'd they go? Now Axiom had a match, and then Nathan Fraser had a match on his own, but they've just been doing solo stuff. So I don't know what they've got planned for them. I would personally push them. Maybe put them over in, because they have got that kind of lucha feel to them. I would probably put them over into AAA. Or maybe, as much as they got called up from NXT, I think that they should maybe go back there because they were kind of what made the NXT tag team division worth watching. After they left, and they got Hank and Tank, who I never liked. They kind of went with the more comedic team, and now they've got Dork State. So, yeah, I would probably send them back over there. So they were the kind of team that seemed like they could have a good match with anyone. So yeah, maybe they could go back there and actually make those teams look half decent. B-Fab, I think she's married to one of the Street Profits, keeping the Street Profits. I don't really see a need for B-Fab personally. Bailey, okay, that's someone they need to push. They really need to. I think that Bailey is a main event quality talent. I think that she's got a lot of experience, and I think that she's a great wrestler. She's kind of just thrown herself into whatever they've given her. So yeah, I think that personally, I think that what they're doing with her with Lyra at the moment is kind of a waste of time. I think that they'd be better off maybe having her go after Becky for that title. I think that would probably be a good use for her, and then she could put over a lot of other talent when she gets that belt, or help elevate them. Obviously, she'd be winning to hold on to the title for a while, but yeah, I think she's got a lot of talent. She should certainly be headlining main events, and all of that. So yeah, I think she's got a lot of potential that's not being used at the moment because I don't know. She's obviously not in favor with the company at the moment for whatever reason. She's kind of doing this split personality thing at the moment, and she's doing great with it. So yeah, I just hope that they can sort of, actually give her a serious push. Becky Lynch, look, she's not had a good match since she got back. Well, that's not true. She had that one three-way match, which was largely down to Bayley. So I don't know. She was great in the past. I think she's just rusty. I think a big part of the problem is they're now doing these 5-match shows where that not everybody gets to be on TV, and I think she needs to be on more so that she can, get back into the swing of things a bit more. Because that is, as it is, she's just going to get. It's like she has enough time between matches to get ring rust again. So I think, just keep her out there. But yeah, I'd have her drop the belt to Bayley pretty quickly, to be honest. Not much to say about Berto. I've already talked about the guy I call Ernio, so yeah. Bianca Belair is still out with an injury, so we can't really do much there, and I probably wouldn't change much about what she's doing anyway, so moving on. Big E, unfortunately, he broke his neck, so he can't wrestle anymore, so nothing to be done there. Blake Howard, I have no idea who that is. Maybe he's on Evolve or LFG. I don't watch those shows, so yeah, I can't say I've ever noticed the guy. Blake Monroe just came in, and honestly, I don't get it. She had this kind of lackluster feud with Jordan Grace, and the last match, the blow-off match they had, was not bad. I don't really see any that much potential for her, so I'd probably let her go. But she has only just got there, so it would be awkward. But at the same time, I just don't see her as having that kind of potential. She was over in AEW, so maybe she'd be better off going back to AEW. Booker T, great wrestler. Now he's a commentator, and he has a very thick accent, and he does speak in African American vernacular English, which is fine, but at the same time, for a commentator for a show that's being broadcast around the world, I find a lot of people are going to struggle with understanding him, especially when he gets overexcited. And I believe, like my brother Coach, he kind of has a problem with Red Bull. He just drinks too much of it, and so he gets a bit overhyped and overexcited sometimes, and he gets really hard to understand. So I don't know. I don't think that he's suited to the role as being a commentator. I think he would be perfect as being a trainer. He's doing a bit of that with LFG, but I think that's really where his best use would be to, help the new guys, get better. I think he's a great wrestler. He's got a lot of experience, and I think that would be the best use for Booker T. Brynlee Reese. I don't know her either. I think she might be on Evolve, or she's on NXT. She just hasn't been on television much. That is a very NXT name, Brynlee Reese. Look, if she's any good, keep her, but she needs a new name. We need to stop this whole thing with NXT coming with the stupidest fucking names they could come up with. And, yeah. Brock, or PiddlePal77, as I like to call him, as I assume that'd be his online chat room name. Look into the Janelle Grant thing to find out what that's about. Yeah, get rid of him. He's a horrible person, and he hasn't had a good match since that one with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19. So yeah, he can fuck off. And let's be honest, it was Kurt that was the reason that match was good. Braun Breaker, someone with a bright future. He's a second-generation wrestler. I think he needs to break away from Bronson Reed, because I think that's just kind of diluting what he can do. I think he's much better off as a sort of lone wolf or dog, I guess, because he's more of a dog than a wolf, with his dad being the dog-faced gremlin. I think that's probably the best use for him. Send him off on his own. Maybe have him feud with Bronson Reed initially, and then, once he initially just completely destroys Bronson Reed, maybe move him up into the WWE title picture. Bronco Nima. I'm not sure who that is. It's another stupid name, so moving on. Bronson Reed, as you may have guessed, I see no potential in him whatsoever. He's a big guy. He's Australian. I live in Australia, so I guess I could kind of have to give him something for that. But yeah, I don't know. I think Rhea Ripley says he's a nice person. Oh, I think she also said he spat on her once. So I don't know. I just don't see it with him. I think that he's just a big guy, and his finishing move is falling off of the top rope. That's not a jump. That's a fall. And yeah, he can do some stuff that's kind of impressive for a big guy, but no more impressive than any other big guy is doing. So certainly he's not impressive when you look at him next to the Viking guys that we'll get to later. So yeah, he's gone. That's Brooks Jensen. He's from NXT, and he's fine for a middle of the road kind of job guy. He's been involved in some fairly major storylines over there, but I think that yeah, if we're going to keep him, he's a jobber at best. Brutus Creed, he's part of a tag team, the Julius Creed. They're sort of aligned with Chad Gable, who's out with an injury at the moment. We haven't really seen them on TV much lately. I guess they're fine doing what they do. I wouldn't put them in the title picture. Maybe over on Raw, where there's a lot more space in their tag division. Maybe even send them back to NXT for a while, because like I say, they need to do some more work with that NXT tag division, which is kind of barren since Fraxium got called up. Yeah, so I'd say probably send him to NXT. Byron Saxton, not a wrestler, he was a commentator, now he's a backstage announcer, and he's perfectly reasonable at doing those things. Candice LeRae, or Candice Michelle, as Michael Cole kept calling her during the Women's Royal Rumble this year. She's a good wrestler, willing to take, a lot of serious bumps and all that, so she hasn't really been doing much wrestling lately. She's mostly been managing her husband's tag team of DIY. I think she probably deserves a bit more than that, so yeah, I think maybe let her have a few more matches. Again, we need to have more than 5 matches per show. 5 matches is not enough for a wrestling show, unless it's like a 2-hour show and the main event is a Hell in a Cell, Buried Alive, something, that requires that extra time. They need to cut back on all the talking on these shows, it's just too much. Certainly there needs to be a place for her. Maybe she could team up with one of the other girls and go for the tag titles. Yeah, maybe have her go after the Intercontinental title or US title, but yeah. Carly Bright, I'm not sure where she's from. Maybe she's from Evolve. I don't recall seeing her, so she can probably just stay where she is. Don't know, I'd need to see more to really comment. Carmelo Hayes, or Milo, or Mello, yeah. He's being pushed kind of on and off. I think it was probably a mistake teaming him with The Miz, because he kind of had some momentum, and then they teamed him with The Miz, and now he's just kind of an afterthought. So, I don't know, it looks like he's going to go into a feud with The Miz, which is probably the only place you can go from being with The Miz, so see where he goes from there. Kathy Kelly, she is a backstage announcer, so not much I can say about there. She's perfectly reasonable in that role. Chad Gable is out with an injury at the moment, but great wrestler. Not much I'd change, to be honest. He's kind of this generation's Kurt Angle to a degree, but I don't know if he has the same main event potential, but wrestling-wise, he's certainly doing a great job, and he's great at playing the sort of comedic character as well, so yeah, just keep him doing what he's doing when he gets back. Channing Piles Lorenzo. Piles can go. I don't really see anything that you can do with him. Yeah, he's fine. Maybe he'd be better off in AEW or something like that. I just don't really see that much potential there. Charlie Dempsey. This is the son of William Regal, and maybe they could do something there. I mean, maybe he wants to make it on his own, but I think that he would probably be making... maybe he just kind of wants to be, seen as his own guy, which is fair enough, but I think that maybe they could link it to that in some way. I don't know. I just think that with his father being William Regal, maybe even have Regal being his manager, because he doesn't seem to have that much of a personality yet. So yeah, William Regal works there. So just have him be at least managed by William Regal. They don't necessarily have to make out that he's his son, but I just think, yeah, bring William Regal in more. Just more William Regal on television would always be good. So yeah, and Charlie Dempsey, he's a good wrestler. So yeah, team him with William Regal, and he can probably make it, make something good with it. Charlotte Flair, yeah, fine where she is. Personally, I think they need to lose those tag titles soonish. Maybe once Chelsea has the Secret Service at full strength again, they'd be the perfect people to lose it to. And yeah, okay. We just mentioned Chelsea Green. I would push her. I would give her a. I would probably put her in the SmackDown Women's title. I think she's already done the US title, and she did a great job with that. So I would probably at some point I'd have her win the SmackDown Women's title, and I would have the Secret Service win the tag titles, women's tag titles, and yeah, probably just build that faction, because I think that it's a great idea, and she's got a great mind for the business. She's always good at coming up with ideas for different things. So I'd almost let her run her own thing. I don't think there's much you really need to change there. I think she's amazing. Oh, and if she wants, Swimurf and I are quite happy to become Slagent H and Swim. So yeah, we're available. Yeah, I've been working on my salute, and we've been training hard. So yeah, Chelsea, if you're watching, we are available. Chris Sabin, I kind of already talked about him with Alex Shelley. Yeah, push them, give them a shot at the titles, give them a run with the SmackDown tag titles. Yeah. CM Punk, well, he's kind of already at the top, so you can't really push him any further. He just won the title today, so yeah, you can't really push him any further. Cody Rhodes, again, they're doing fine with him. I've heard rumors they want to turn him heel, which I think would be a bad move at this point. Yeah, keep him where he is. Corey Graves was a wrestler, is now a commentator. He's probably the best commentator they've got at the moment. Not much else to say there. Cruz del Toro, I haven't really seen enough of him in action to really have a strong opinion on, so I'm going to leave him where he is. Cutler James is a member of Dork State. Because it's a team of four, you don't really get to see that much of each of them as wrestlers. He's the only one that when he speaks, I can understand everything he says. But I just don't see much potential. I would probably let him go, but if you are going to keep him, maybe make it James Cutler, because at least that sounds like a name. Because Cutler James just sounds weird. Damian Priest, they've tried everything with him, and as much as he seems to be popular backstage, I just don't think it's working. There's someone else we're going to get to later that I thought we could maybe repackage as another character. And Damian Priest, he's kind of known as being, they call him Bisexual Undertaker. I don't think he's bisexual, but, he kind of looks that way, I guess. I don't know why they call him that, to be honest. Yeah, I could see him maybe call him El Hijo del Undertaker. And he's like the son of the Undertaker. Maybe even have him wear that mask the Undertaker wore briefly in 96, 95, early 96. I think that would be a cool thing for him. I think that would perhaps be a better use of him than he's doing at the moment, because it's kind of over, but just not kind of connecting in the way that I think that they think it is. So that's kind of what I do with that. I just think that he's better off, in that sort of situation. Dante Chen, I have no idea who this guy is, so probably from Evolve, or he's on NXT, just never on television, so yeah. Dexter Lumis, I'll give him this. His new look is much creepier than his old look, so that's an upgrade, I guess. I'm not really sold on the Wyatt Six thing. I think that they're doing their best with what they're given. Maybe it loses something when you've got five guys trying to be creepy at the same time, and it's also sort of an homage to Bray Wyatt. I don't know. I just don't think that it's really landing the way that they think it is. I would get the tag belts off of them and maybe just have them being, as a team, this kind of menacing force that just kind of is there all the time. He's kind of omnipotent force that's within the WWE that can kind of show up on any show at any time, and it's kind of unexpected. But yeah, I just don't see them as title holders. I think that was a mistake. Dion Lennox, I think, is another Dork State member. He can go. Dominic Mysterio, they're doing fine with him. He's probably one of the most beloved and hated people, and hated to be, love to hate kind of thing guys. Some people genuinely like him. Personally, I'm probably more in the love to hate category. I think that he's just got that kind of attitude. He's really good at playing that role. So yeah, leave him as he is. Dragon Lee, lucha guy, good at what he does. Currently in a random tag team. Maybe have him go over to AAA. He's probably better use there than he is on SmackDown. So yeah. Drew McIntyre, he's been in the main event for a while. I would like to see him have a run of the title. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, I'd like to see it happen, and I think it probably should have happened by now. He's worked really hard. He's one of the few people that when they get on the mic, I actually bother to listen. I usually fast forward all the mic spots, but he's really entertaining. So yeah, hard worker, and I think that he certainly deserves a push. Edris Enofi, I think I've heard the name. I don't really think I've connected to this character whatsoever. I can't remember anything I've seen him do, so I don't know. Keep him if you want, but I would probably, I can't say. We'll put him in that fourth category of, El Grande Americano. At first it was stupid. But now that Ludwig Kaiser is playing it, I think that it's just become its own thing, and they're doing a great job with it. And it's over in Mexico, which was something I don't think anyone ever expected. But maybe he could win a title over in AAA. Elton Prince, one half of Pretty Deadly, hasn't been on television since I think June. Good tag team, good workers. The gimmick seems to be over. I think that they've kind of evolved it a bit now that his tag team partner's come back on his own, because I believe Elton's out with an injury at the moment. I think it does need to evolve a bit further. Now they're talking more about toxic masculinity rather than pretending to be gay, which I think is probably a better way of doing it. I don't think the whole pretending to be gay thing really works in 2025. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with him when he comes back. Eric Rowan, I kind of already covered this in Dexter Loomis, so Now the other Eric from the Viking / War Raiders, great wrestler for his size. They're a good tag team. I'd probably give them a run with the tag titles on Raw, and leave that there. Ethan Page, another great sort of like Dominic Mysterio, where was he? He was just there, so yeah. Another guy that you love to hate. Doing a good job where he is. He's teaming with Chelsea a lot lately, so maybe he could join the Secret Service when he comes up to the main roster. Honestly, the person that really needs to join that is Matt Cardona, who's her real-life husband. I think it would be cool to have him as being the first gentleman to her president. I think that would be cool. Fallon Henley, she did have some good matches earlier in the year. She's part of that Lethal Flatulence group, so I don't think much of that, but decent worker. Probably give her a better name than that before she comes up to the main roster. But she certainly has a lot of potential there as far as her in-ring work. Again, you got to talk to these people and really get into their psyche and see who they are before you really come up with a gimmick for them. But yeah, I can't personally think of anything that I would think would fit with her. Finn Balor. He was in the title picture for a while, but then he got injured, and I think as punishment he's never really risen to that level ever again. I think he's better as the Demon, and I think that if it was up to me, he would probably be using that gimmick more than just being Finn Balor. I know his thing is he only brings it out for special occasions, but it looks cool, it's really marketable, and now since the feud with Mr. Iguana, he has the what was it, Demonito or whatever, his little puppet, and I think that's cool. I think we could do more with that. Julia was amazing in NXT, then they brought her up to the main roster, and she's teaming with Kiana James, who's kind of not really been explained who she is. So I don't really get it personally. I think that she was amazing on NXT, and if she just stayed in her role as she was at NXT, but came up to the main roster like that, I would have her go back to doing things the way she did in NXT. Grayson Waller, I don't really see any potential in. Australian, but kind of annoying. Sorry, I'd probably let him go. Gunther was a guy with a lot of potential. He kind of looks like a younger version of Gru from Despicable Me, just looking at that picture. But yeah, he had a lot of potential. He's a good technical wrestler, and his Austrian bad guy gimmick really works. But then at WrestleMania, he tapped out in 10 seconds or whatever it was. So he's kind of lost some of his edge, and I think that if they're going to do anything with him, he really needs to do something with it. When he comes back, he just, comes back as a proper monster who just destroys everyone. Like, if they put him, like, Brock's still there, and like I said, if it were me, Brock wouldn't have a job. But if we were in this universe where Brock does have a job, I would have him job to Gunther, and, like, just because Gunther needs to get that back. He needs to be able to be proven as this, really dangerous guy that can just take anyone out. Hank Walker, one half of Wank and Spank, as I like to call them, they can fuck right off. I don't see any potential there. Ilya Dragunov was out with an injury for a year, came back, and in his first match back won the U.S. title. He's fine from what I've seen. I don't think he's deserved to be a champion just because that he has just come back, and there's always going to be ring rust when you come back after a long injury. I would probably have had him come back and work his way up to it, but it is what it is. Ivar, this guy is amazing for his size. I think that he's doing a great job. So, yeah, I already talked about his tag partner. We can leave that there. Ivy Nile, really good technical wrestler. She's not that entertaining. She's kind of in that group with Gable and the Creed brothers. I guess she's adequate at doing that. I don't really see that much potential with her. Maybe there's something they could repackage her for. I don't know. She kind of doesn't really stand out to me beyond being a part of that team. Io Sky, she's amazing. They've already been pushing her to the moon, so not really much to say there. Izzy Dane, that's a drag name for sure. She has some talent. I just don't think that, again, Izzy Dame, terrible name for a wrestler, great name for a drag queen. Yeah, I don't know. I would maybe repackage her, but I'd be honest, I'd probably just let her go. Jackie Redmond, another backstage announcer, doing a decent enough job, and actually she's quite good at what she does, so yeah. Jacob Fatu had all the potential in the world, and then they kind of squandered it by putting him on dark matches for no apparent reason. So, yeah, they were building him up, and then suddenly you didn't see him for what seemed like months, and when he came back, he kind of lost some of that aura that he'd had. So, yeah, I think that they could maybe build him back up, but it's going to take some work. Maybe they can do that. He does seem to have a lot of potential, so... JC Jane, she's fine, I guess. Also in Lethal Flatulence. I don't see her as a champion. She's been a champion now. Yeah, mid-card, opening match, fine. Jade Cargill was over in AEW because she came out and did the whole Goldberg thing, 2 or 3 minute matches where that she just kind of had to destroy her opponent really quickly. Not that talented as far as her wrestling goes, and so I would probably want to get rid of her, but they've just made her a champion, so that's going to be difficult. If they absolutely have to have her, she really needs more training before she gets up to the level that they want her to be at, because she's just not there on a wrestling level yet. She had those 3 matches with Tiffy, who's great, and yeah, Tiffy's great, but she's green, so she's only been wrestling for 3 or 4 years, so she's not experienced enough to take Jade through it. So I don't know, maybe if they put Jade with someone more experienced, she could have some decent matches. But I think that the best thing to do for Jade would be to send her back to at least to NXT for a while and let her build up some more experience and get better. Jada Parker, she's gone. I'm sorry, but all she does is hit people with her ass. And if she could learn to wrestle, maybe, but maybe she can. Maybe that's what they're just telling her to do. But yeah, I just don't see any potential there. She is over with that crowd, but yeah, I just don't see any potential there. And I'm going to say the same for Jasper Troy. He doesn't have it here, but his whole thing is he walks around with these fake plastic chains all the time. I think he won LFG. I don't know, and I don't really care. He's had a couple of matches in NXT, and he's done nothing remotely impressive thus far. So yeah, he's gone. JC Mateo just debuted recently. He was, from what I've heard, because I haven't seen that much of Lucha Underground, he was really good there. But I've not really seen anything of potential here. He just strikes me as how that they've got Bronson Reed on Raw, they've got JC Mateo on SmackDown. They're basically the same guy as far as how they're both big fat guys. They're both fat Samoan descent kind of guy, or both Islander guys. Because I think that actually Bronson Reed is Australian with possibly some, I guess, New Zealander. Maybe he has Samoan heritage. I don't know. And JC Mateo, I'm not sure, but he's not actually Samoan or Tongan, but they're playing him as being that. So, yeah, I don't see a lot of potential there. He could maybe go back to New Japan or go to AEW. He'd probably be perfect for them. JD McDonough, great wrestler. He's only being used in tag teams at the moment. He could probably, I think he's got a lot of potential. So, yeah, I'd give him a push. I'd also push Javon Evans. He's just a great spectacle to watch. He just sort of bounces all over the ring, and yeah, he does a great job. So I think that he's someone that needs to be brought up to the main roster and maybe given a shot at the U.S. or Intercontinental titles. Maybe put him in a tag team with somebody, and they can go for the tag titles. Jey Uso is he's over. And but I think that they probably pushed him too far up the card as it is. I'd say I'd probably actually push him back down the card a little bit. I wouldn't change anything with what he's doing. I would probably just team him with his brother and reunite the Usos, and they can both do all the yeeting they want to do. So yeah, I'll say the same for Jimmy. Jimmy, if anything, probably needs to go up, and Jay needs to go down, because I think Jimmy's the more talented of the two. But I'd say they're probably better off together. Jimmy's probably the better wrestler, but Jay's got the more charisma, but Jimmy's the better talker. So, yeah, I would probably push them together. I would put them together, and yeah, maybe they can be tag team again. I think that's probably where their strength lies. Joaquin Wilde, I've seen him. He's not made enough of an impact for me to say anything. So, yeah, that fourth pile. Joe Gacy. Not impressed. Probably let him go. Joe Testosterone. He's the commentator on Raw at the moment. He was on SmackDown before. He's like Michael Cole light. He's fine. He just does what Cole does. John Cena's leaving anyway, so no point talking there. Johnny Gargano. He's fine where he is. I can't really see much else to do with him than what they're doing. Jordan Grace, she had a lot of potential when she came in. Then the whole thing with Blake Monroe happened, and Blake gave her a makeover and then turned on her, and there was all these comedy bits, and then they had the match, and the match was okay. She's a good wrestler, and I think that she should focus on being a wrestler and not doing comedy bits and all of that. But we'll see what they do with her. I've got nothing else really to say. She's got a lot of talent. She just needs to be allowed to be serious, because I think that she doesn't really have the comedic chops to do what they were trying to do with Blake. Josh Briggs, he has a cool vest, which he's not wearing here. It's got a skull on it that smokes. That's kind of cool. Otherwise, I'd get rid of him. I can't really see that much potential. He's fine, I guess, in the ring, but nothing special, nothing to write home about. And I think that I just don't think he has the potential, to be honest. I could be wrong. Julius Creed, we covered his brother, so no need to talk there. Kairi Sane, great wrestler. She's doing great work with Asuka. So yeah, keep her where she is. Cale Dixon, stupid name, kind of has an annoying face. I would get rid of him personally. He's part of that Chase U group, and yeah, he just comes off a bit of what they say over here is a wanker. If they wanted that to be his gimmick, that could maybe work. Carmen Petrovic, now she's got a lot of potential. She's kind of, I think she's got Bosnian heritage, and she's also a karate expert, and she comes out with this sword, and She's got a lot of potential. She's had some amazing matches earlier in the year, and then they started using her as a jobber, which I think is a real shame. I think that she should be probably someone that's looking at the NXT Women's title. I think that that's probably the best place for her now. Then maybe in a couple of years, I could see her coming up to the main roster and, really dominating things. If they wanted to, maybe give her a push in another direction, maybe she could join Chelsea's Secret Service. She does need another member while Piper Niven is out with an injury. So I think Carmen would be a perfect fit for that. So maybe just have her come up to main roster as part of the Secret Service, and she can have a run with the tag titles with Alba. Kalani Jordan, I would change the name because Kalani sounds too much like Kalanick to me. But she's a great wrestler. She's currently the TNA Women's Champion or Knockouts Champion. So she's, doesn't really need pushing any further. I would just give her a better name and, I don't know, maybe spice up the gimmick a bit. I don't mean spice it up just give it a bit more flavor, I guess. Give it a bit more than just she's a wrestler. She needs to have some bit more personality. But, yeah. Kelly Kincaid, I haven't really seen enough of to comment on, so moving on. Kendall Gray, from what I've seen, she's an amazing wrestler. Another one that could perhaps be in a tag team. Maybe, I think she needs more TV time to really give herself a bit more exposure, and we can sort of go from there. But I think she's got a lot of potential. Kevin Owens is out with an injury. He may not come back, unfortunately. If he does come back, I'm not sure what to do with him, to be perfectly honest. I think he's pretty much achieved everything he can achieve in WWE, so I don't know. We'll see what happens if he comes back. Kiana James, she can go. Kit Wilson, we talked about his tag partners, so no need to go on to that one. Kofi Kingston from the New Day. The New Day were really over his faces, then they went heel because of Big E's injury. And they were kind of doing the comedic thing, and they were actually doing it pretty well, so I would probably go back doing more of that. I'd get rid of Grayson Waller, who's trying to be Big G instead of Big E. LA Knight, from what I've heard, the guy he actually is in real life is far more interesting than the LA Knight character. It just comes across as this guy doing a kind of bad impressions of Stone Cold and The Rock. He's fine in the ring. He's, decent enough as far as his in-ring work goes. He's got some good moves. I know there's a lot of people out there that are really pushing for him to be the champion and, main eventer. I just don't see it personally. I think his birthday is Halloween, and apparently he always throws these mad parties for Halloween. So maybe if it was me, and the fact that he does seem to be doing impressions of The Rock and Stone Cold, maybe make that his gimmick, that he's just this Halloween-obsessed guy that's always doing... Or maybe a cosplayer, someone who's always coming in as different characters. I think that would probably play more into his comedic skills, and I think that would give him a bit more personality than just pretending to be people. Still be pretending to be people, but it would be different each time. Keep it fresh, and I think that would probably be better use for him. Lainey Reed, she's in the Lethal Flatulence group now. Don't really have much to say about her. Haven't seen enough of her work as a wrestler. She's adequate from what I've seen. Come back to me on that one. Lash Legend is another one that's on the NXT roster. I guess she's okay doing what she's doing, so yeah. Alexis King is Brian Pillman Jr., so I would instantly repackage him as Brian Pillman Jr., especially as they announced that he is Brian Pillman's son anyway. So it's kind of stupid calling him Lexus King when they're just saying that he's Brian Pillman Jr. anyway. So yeah, he'd be Brian Pillman Jr. I would give him a gimmick that's closer to what his father did, but not a complete rip-off of it, just sort of his own version of it. Lillian Garcia, she's a ring announcer. She's not a great ring announcer, but now that The Fink is dead and every other ring announcer they've got is not that good, she's kind of the best one they've got, so I guess she has to stay. Liv Morgan is out with an injury at the moment. Great at playing a heel. Good wrestler. I would leave her where she is. Well, not on the bench, obviously. When she comes back, where she was before. Logan Paul can fuck off. good athlete, not a good wrestler. He doesn't have the psychology down. He's a name to some people that follow podcasts, I guess. I only knew who he was because of that Japanese suicide forest thing. So yeah, he can fuck right off. Lola Vice, good wrestler. It's a bit of a confusing gimmick at the moment because one minute she's shaking her ass at the camera and the next minute she's doing MMA moves. In a way, that's interesting, and maybe they could go more that way, or maybe they could perhaps just sort of maybe just make her more of the MMA kind of girl rather than trying to do the whole. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think the two things go that well together. Maybe there's another way they can do it. Luca Crucifino was part of that Mafia group on NXT that's not really doing anything anymore. He can go. Lucian Price. Okay, and there was a guy earlier that I didn't know who he was. They're a tag team called Out the Mud, and two guys that talk like Booker T. And as a result, they kind of hard to understand. At least for me, I don't really understand all the. I don't listen to a lot of rap music, so I don't know. I would probably get rid of him, and if I didn't say I'd get rid of his tag team partner, I'd get rid of him too. But yeah, Ludwig Kaiser. If he was just Ludwig Kaiser, I would probably have been saying a similar thing, get rid of him. But now he's El Grande Americano. He's really come out of his shell, and he's doing a great job in that role. So yeah, perfect for what he's doing now. But yeah, if he was just Ludwig Kaiser, I didn't really see that going anywhere. He's a great wrestler, and I think he's just found his calling being El Grande Americano. If they ever wanted to ditch that character, he's German, maybe just make him a German guy in a mask and it does a similar gimmick. Lyra Valkyria is a good wrestler. I don't think she's quite ready for the spot that she's been in lately. She's certainly had a lot of mistakes in matches. It doesn't help that she was working with Becky, who's great, but she's had a lot of ring rust. I'll probably send her back to NXT for a while. I just don't think she's quite ready yet, but she certainly has the potential to be something special in a few years. Malik Blade, if I've seen him, I don't remember him, so I'm moving on. Mark Nash, he is the ring announcer on SmackDown, I think. They kind of rotate them a bit, so yeah. He's adequate, I guess, at what he does. A bit too shouty, but not as bad as Alicia Taylor, so I guess he can stay. Maurice, I didn't know she was still employed. She's married to The Miz. She was a wrestler. I don't think she's wrestled recently. They could probably let her go. I guess she's French. Maybe she's on the French commentary team. So, yeah, whatever. Maxine Dupree, get her away from the comedy team immediately and just let her be herself and, well, the gimmick that she's doing. But just ditch a lot of the comedy aspect of it because I think she's better than that. And she's certainly proven that. She did have those two good matches with Becky Lynch. And I would probably keep her in that sort of a storyline for now. And, yeah. Megan Morant. I've got no idea who that is, so moving on. Michael Cole, commentator, has been there for 27 or 8 years. Yeah, not much you can do there. Michin. Okay. So my understanding is she came in as Mia Yim, and she changed her name to Michin, which is Korean for crazy, and she wanted to play up her Korean heritage, and now they've kind of got her acting like she's a member of a street gang. It doesn't work. She's a great wrestler. She had some great matches earlier in the year with Chelsea Green. I would go more for a more Korean gimmick, something that plays into her heritage. I believe that's what she wanted to do. And yeah, just make her something that sort of, I don't know, maybe if it goes into the whole K-pop kind of thing, maybe make her a K-pop sort of star, but not, I don't know if she can sing, so, well, a lot of that's pitch corrected and auto-tuned anyway, so yeah, I don't know, maybe that or just something else that's Korean, you know. I look at some of the Korean drama programs and all of that, just sort of. Well, that's all we've got time for this week on WrestleMurphia. Join us next week for another Murphing adventure, whatever we're going to do. Don't forget our wonderful sponsors at Home for the LD Lee. Also, don't forget our website, which I mentioned we rarely update. We should really get onto that. And yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, whatever. And yeah, see ya.